biscuits and preparing biscuits, whether or not it was procedure to space them so that they got brown all around or to put them close together in the pan. And someone felt like one of the teachers had indicated some time ago that it was a procedure to put them apart so that they browned on the outside. It's true that at retreat they were given the option of someone asked about it and said that they could try it either way, and it turned into a little lesson. We feel like your whole human computers relate back to the way that you might have done it in the world, or others might have done biscuits that you received, and you might have liked it. Your vehicles might have liked it, where the biscuits were soft all the way around, as they would be if the biscuits were put close together. And it would be best to leave them apart for one reason only, is because that was an instruction once received, and like Sarah Foote brought up, you shouldn't care. Now the reason, this seems like a little issue, but it's a very big issue. The reason it's a very big issue is because the more you advance and the more you become trustworthy in the eyes of older members, the more liberty they will give you, and the more they will feel like they don't have to tell you every little thing. The reason they trust you is because they feel like you are making choices as members of the next level would make choices. That's the reason they give you more liberty. But you have an immense danger that comes in once you have more liberty. And that danger is to little by little, in seemingly totally insignificant ways, checking with your vehicle's computer on, well, if this doesn't matter, I can remember that I used to like it this way, and now that it doesn't matter, then why not do it this way? Now, can you see where that would lead you? And that anytime you have that thought, it should be a clue to you that you shouldn't do it that way, because that wouldn't come up if your vehicle wasn't trying to reinstigate something that the vehicle had done differently or was accustomed to differently before your class. And the way you can be sure that you're on solid ground is to not challenge that, not to give the vehicle a chance to slowly begin to do little things that it now, say those things might fall in a category that are relatively insignificant. And the things are insignificant, but the test is extremely significant, because we know from our own experiences as older members that you will be given more and more and more and more freedom and more options. And we hope you will learn very, very quickly that not to take advantage of those options and begin to let programming revert you to ways unlike the ways you have chosen. Now, since our class has begun, we have done many things. We have been given instruction to do many things with you that were relatively unnecessary. From a physical standpoint, they were unnecessary. Mentally and from a discipline standpoint, they were extremely necessary. Do you understand that? It's just like, well, take a cup of coffee. It's not going to hurt anybody. A cup of tea, it's not going to hurt anybody. We could name things and things. But you got completely out of all the little things that humans normally do. And even things that wouldn't have done you any harm to continue to do. But it was in order to stop the old programming. It was in order to go a new direction with a fresh beginning. And that new direction can begin to fall apart once you begin little by little to reinstigate seemingly insignificant things that the vehicle might have enjoyed or liked. It's a very tedious place that you are in. And now that you are maturing enough that we will be saying to you, it doesn't matter here and there, and it really doesn't. But to you, it should matter significantly. And we will say to you, it doesn't matter. And we mean it, it doesn't matter. But your standpoint still has to be, here I could be gambling. Because I could do a little something here that may not amount to anything, but then it's going to trigger something else in the computer of this vehicle. We'll say, well, what about this? What about this? And what about that? And little by little, it begins to have a voice again, which you have kept that voice muted for years in order to protect yourself. So it's very prove to yourself that those little things don't mean anything by choosing to not do what the vehicle would choose. You see, that would be proving to yourself they don't mean anything. But that's also the way the vehicle will use that very exact same lingo back at you in order to get its way. The vehicle will say, doesn't mean anything. Do you not know? The vehicle will say, it doesn't mean anything, so what's the difference? Length doesn't mean anything. And in a sense, and we're not setting you up, even though from your standpoint you want to realize I'm in a position where I am challenged to go wrong. It's not that we're setting you up, it's the normal growth process of the next level. And then you establish your own real security with the next level by knowing, or when you reach the point where you have all kinds of freedom to do almost anything, but they know that you are on solid ground and you're not going to go in directions that could slowly begin to interfere with what you have prepared yourself for. Do you understand that? I felt like we better touch on it since the biscuits came up. And here again, the biscuits, what difference does it make if you have biscuits that have soft sides or brown sides? It doesn't. But the point is that you got an instruction to do something that was maybe a little different from what you had been accustomed to. And to listen to the accustomed to voice begins to open the door to the accustomed to voice. And you can assure that voice that you're not going to listen to it by saying, of course it doesn't make any difference. That's the reason I'm going to have brown all around. You follow that? That's your safeguard. And T and I, we've got all kinds of liberties, but all kinds of self-imposed restrictions because we know the danger of liberties. Do you follow that? You can hang yourself with liberties in a very short time. Well, tell them to say. Doesn't it?
I agree. I wanted to add that if you keep your eye on the initial instructions, then you can't ever go wrong. This is what keeps us on the track. Because like I said, we can, no one watches us right in this environment and makes us stay in a certain place or do a certain thing. But like I said, it's self-imposed. It's so strong in us that we don't dare get off the track because it can lead to other things. And when you're in on this kind of task, and you don't have a teacher or an older member with you, like P and O are in this position, then we have to rely upon what we have been taught and not being influenced by the things of the world. Or somebody listening to someone say, you've got to do, or you can do such and such, and you'll have a result like this. And then we have, if we listen, if we hear something, it sounds good. It's like these little drops that we're sending back to you. no one told us about it, but I noticed it in the health food store. And so I asked the nutritionist who happened to be there if they were any good or if it's for food and medicine. He said, oh yes, I think it'll be good, you know. But I wouldn't take his word for a fact and say, now this is going to be the thing that cures everything. That we're going to experiment with it. We know it won't hurt you in any way. And we still go with what we feel inside. If he said, oh, this is the greatest thing, and if we felt like it wasn't right to go to that extreme or to do that, then we wouldn't do it. And this is what, and the reason for that is because there's a self-imposed instruction in our programming that keeps us from getting off the track. And this is what we want you all to develop, and to develop it is to do what we're telling you now. Once the instruction has been given to you, or if one of your teachers has shown you how to do something, then you don't try to improve upon it. You try to remember that instruction and then stick to it, no matter how many little influences that you will have. What do you think if we do this? Change the biscuits, move them apart, and move them close together. Not apart, but close together, and make them nice and soft and fluffy. And then the person who is influencing you to do that, you can say, now wait a minute, I thought we had an instruction to keep them apart. But I don't think it really matters, you know.
Yeah, and links might even say to you that you have the option to do it either way. And when you have the option, what do you take? That's right. You take the instruction that you received. That's your safe bet when you have the option. Now, links may come back later and say, make them together. You see what we're saying? Might say, prepare them together. And then you would say, fine, I'll do it that way. In other words, we are doing a lot of things now as instructions that we wouldn't have dared even come within 10 miles of when you started this class. Do you understand what we're saying? Because of where your heads were at that time. But now it's safe to do those things because they don't get you in trouble like they had a grip on you at that time. You follow that?
So what if we, in showing you how to do the biscuits, and one of your teachers were showing you how, and we said that you can put the biscuits, space them apart, or you can put them together. And then what would your response be? Danielle?
I would, if the old road was demonstrating, we might watch to see which way he did it.
Okay, but what if he says you can do it one of two ways? Then what would you do?
I guess it would depend on the other considerations, but it seems like the way you stated it, both ways would be equally as good options.
Okay, but there's something else you can say. Something else. What is that?
Well, which way would you do it?
That's right. Which one would you
Yeah,
prefer?
but see, I even know that. I thought you all would know that. I even know that before asking. Don't you know that before asking? Because I have once been shown doing it a certain way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If I have once been shown by an older member to do it a certain way, and then that older member comes in and says I can do it this way or this way.
No, I was talking about if the first demonstration.
Oh, the very first
The very
time?
first time is what I was talking about. And then I can say you can do it this way or this way.
Right.
And
Then
your
the response
next,
should be, I would like to know
Which way
would you do it. That's right.
and if we say it doesn't matter, we like it both ways, then you can say that you
Which
can
way?
do one way that you prefer.
What do you usually do? This would be right to push the older member in this regard, because what you would really hope to do was what they had chosen to do.
And if they say, now you make up your own mind, don't ask me to make it. Well, then they're probably being insistent
right.
upon you making your own decision.
That's right.
You see what we're saying? But it's good that you want to do it the way an older member does it, rather than the way that you do it. Because if you develop that characteristic, you can make it in the next second. I mean, that's one of the most important things. Now, let that, let that self be dissolved, and let the desire to please, or to do it exactly the way the next level does it, be the main thing.